you can learn how to, do different things and teach methods. That's wonderful. But the main goal of Zhineng Qigong is not methods. The main idea of Zhineng Qigong is to bring a different way, a very direct way, to realize that our reality is consciousness. But grace is really who we are. And when you're speaking in the practice of Qigong, is you want to, whatever you really want from your heart is what you get. That is the closest, the approximation. You find out in your heart, in a clear heart, what you really want, and then that is the reality that you have. My name is Frederico Garcia, and I was originally born in Central America, but I grew up in Spain. This whole process for me of learning about Zhineng Qigong was not necessarily about Zhineng Qigong per se itself, but about like a shock in life that brings you to consciousness through grace. For me, becoming ill, really severely ill, was the best grace of my life. And so it just so happened that right after I had been diagnosed with some terrible disease, I had the opportunity to meet a teacher who, at the time, he now calls himself Ming Tong Gu, but he used to be called Xiao Ming Gu. And so I met him then when he had a different name, but I think he's pretty popular, pretty famous. And he happened to be giving a demonstration at the cancer center where I was hopefully going to get better. And it was very interesting. I was there and I didn't know what was going on, and he was starting to do some movement or dance on top of a conference table, which was unusual. And then I thought that feels good to me. And then I spoke with him a little bit, and he invited me to go to China with him and some other people the next July. So I did that. I had no doubts. Even the day before I was meant to go on the airplane to go on the trip, I got into a horrible car accident, and I was pretty badly injured. But I said, no, I'm going to go anyways. I'm going to forget about the medical treatment. I'm just going to go. And it was the best choice of my life. So that was my introduction. My introduction was, you could say, with a sense of great urgency. It's broader than Zhineng Qigong, which is, as I understand it, is the study of consciousness. It's not the study of how to heal. Healing is secondary. Healing happens because you are aware. It does not have, if you are unaware and you can heal yourself temporarily, your illness will come back. It's simple. So Zhineng Qigong is so powerful, it's so amazing that even if you're not fully aware, you can heal. But if you're not fully aware, then your illness will come back. That's my experience. It's I notice now as I speak about it that I'm still really have a deep heart connection to China and where I learned Qigong. Because it wasn't only with Ming Tong, but actually he had a wonderful group of teachers from China, from the center, that were his classmates. And it was actually through their help and great love that I was really moved to become fully committed to studying Qigong.
Can you tell me a bit more about what you're doing now?
Before all of this happened in 2006, I was an architect. I was very busy. I had lots of different things. And now I am a therapist. But instead of using psychotherapy, I use a very simple notion of what it is that makes people ill. And whether it's in your physical body or in your mind or in your feelings, it's all the same. To help people realize that what causes us to be uncomfortable with ourselves, actually, as Dr. Pang described it, I'm trying to quote or as much as I can. What he says is that the cause for humanity's troubles is a lack of consciousness. And when there's a lack of consciousness, then in the experience of our bodies, it experiences a lot of polarities, moving from one point to another. There's a big movement of energy. So when there are a lot of polarities, this creates disease. And so he says the only way to resolve that is by becoming aware of who you really are, becoming conscious of who you are. I mean, you don't have to do anything. You already are who you are. It only seems like you have to do this and that and, you know, spend 20 years trying or whatever, but it's not really necessary. It can be very helpful if you can do it, but it's not a requirement. So as much as I could from the beginning, I tried to go to the source, which is Dr. Pan. And actually, if you really read what he wrote, it's really simple. It's really simple. The only problem is that people have lack of awareness. It's simply a lack of awareness. And so if you learn to cultivate awareness, he calls it the spirit. You need to cultivate the spirit. You need to cultivate consciousness, and then your body will simply follow that. And it'll be coming into line, and it'll be smooth and stable. And so what I do now is following that path. Actually, in the way, it sounds maybe even corny, but it's very simple. You just open your heart. Opening our heart can be very difficult depending on circumstances, but really it is the way. It is the only way that through experience that I have learned it's true. I verify it. This is very, I think, at least from my point of view, very important, that as we speak right here and right now, we are ourselves. If there's any sense, just to give you a sense of what I mean from what I do, if there's any sense of lack or that something's wrong, then right away we can inspect it and see that it's not true. There's nothing that is wrong. There's nothing that is missing. We can be very available, very open, and whatever seems to be off will just vanish. Because I guess I put it in actually in the Chinese terms, the phrase "all is well, always," and they have a different way of putting it. But you know, right away you can just look at it. What I'm trying to say is there's no need to remove yourself from this moment to look at it in some other way, like in your mind, or you know, it's not necessary. We can just experience it right now. And then they talk about being abundant, which is the opposite of lack. That's the whole point. I don't deny at all, having done it myself, that healing of illnesses is very important, because then you can verify that what is being taught is correct. It's true. You verify it through experiment. But beyond that, I guess maybe you will bring it even further if you continue to be interested in it. We simply need to change our attitude. That is the biggest thing. The attitude that something's missing, something's wrong, I'm not good enough, I need to be better, but that's not true. We just need to change our attitude.
Everything you're describing to me makes so much sense. It's so feels like taking a deep breath and letting it go. Like I'm like, yes, it's clarity. It makes sense. But what is the best way to carry that throughout that consciousness? What's the best way to nourish that and grow that understanding? I'm guessing it must be through practice.
Well, there are, of course, many ways. In the way of meditation, which may be more complicated perhaps in some ways, you just simply allow yourself to be who you are. And whatever your life is doing for you, you don't resist it. Resistance creates separation. And separation creates illness, whether it be in the mind, so that's one way. That's the way of meditation in life, is just do not resist anything. The other way of course, is through practicing the methods. Because I practice all of them. Of course, everybody has their preferable methods. I practice the first method, the second method, the third method, many. But what really allowed I remember very clearly the insight of discovering who you really are, clearly, forever. Practicing the three centers merged standing method, because there's a very, in my opinion, it's the highest method in Zhineng Qigong, because you're instructed to look into the void, the blue sky, in that particular position. But the void actually, it's very clever, the way that they did it. The void actually is who you are. They never tell you that. It's never written anywhere. They say, look into the blue sky and just observe it. And after doing it for 10 years, then I understood it, what it was. But you see, it doesn't really matter what you do. What matters is that you do that one thing, and that you have a very clear goal. What do I really want? What do I really want? And then it doesn't matter what you do. You can be like you like to bake cakes. So you spend all your time baking cakes and you do it perfectly, to perfection. And then already you realize who you are. It doesn't matter what you do, because the main thing is dedication to who it is that is aware right here, right now, of listening to our words, to seeing the images, to experiencing the sensations of the body. Somebody is aware of that. Well, actually, someone, but not somebody, because there is no body aware of that. There's some awareness, some intelligence that is here. South Africa and Spain, it doesn't matter. We are here. To pay attention to this always. That is the most direct way. To always be awake in your mind, open in your heart, and sensitive to your body experience. But you see, there really are no methods. The methods are used just so that you will realize that what you really want does not exist. You are what you want. You already are there. You are the highest. And there's nothing that is higher, nothing that is better. Like I give the example, for me, the first method of lifting the chi and putting it down, and the three centers merge standing method. For me, it was a perfect combination. For me, it was enough, the first method and the three centers merge standing method. Which Dr. Prang describes it as something very important, that everybody needs to do it, no matter what method you're practicing, because it will help you to consolidate consciousness in your experience of the body. No matter what you learn from, the first, second, or third, or anything else, you need the three centers merge standing method to consolidate that understanding. So in my opinion, that's why I think it's the highest method for me. Well, of course, I can only speak from my point of view. So, but I'm sure that other people would speak and say something different. Yes, and I think it's also related to the essence of Zhineng Qigong is that, number one, to understand that it begins at a very high level with where most other methods, it's the goal for them. Other methods is the goal, is the basis, the beginning of Zhineng Qigong. That's very important. Why? Because the structure on which Zhineng Qigong is based is the theory of the entirety of the Hunyuan entirety theory. So everything is one, but not as a concept, as an experience. And this experience, we can have it. Anybody can have it. Anybody from the street. I can get somebody from the street and show them. You can show them the first method, lifting chi and putting chi, and they will understand it already. It's not difficult, but that's why I was saying the first method and the three centers merge standing, because that just the first time I tried it, I said, oh, this is what I want. right away, this is what I want. I need, no, not what I want, what I need. I need, I need that. Because at the root of everybody, you know, in some people it's more hidden, it's less available. But in some way, everybody who is more or less sensitive will realize, oh, this is really very special. This is the feeling of wholeness, of being whole. And I think for most people who try it, they recognize that right away.
What do you enjoy most about teaching or being a therapist?
Actually, it's not any different from our exchange today. It's the same. What I enjoy about it is reaching out to myself and recognizing myself in you, and you recognizing yourself in me. There's no you and me. And actually, there's nothing better than that, in my experience. Whoever is really open and to wishing to be happy, to be fully themselves, that is the people that I want to speak with, always.